Hello there and welcome to your next math lesson. Go ahead and open up your math notebook to your next available page. And at the top of that page, write the title of today's lesson, which is Divide Decimals by Whole Numbers. Okay, so if we're dividing, that means we're finding quotients. That's the answer to a division problem. And we are dividing, so we're dealing with dividends and divisors. We're dividing decimals by whole numbers, which means the dividend is going to be a decimal number and the divisor is going to be a whole number. Let me show you an example. It would be something like 145 and 8 tenths times 12. See, 145 and 8 tenths, that's the decimal number, and it's the dividend divided by 12, the whole number. Okay, now to set this problem up correctly, we need to first build our long division house. The dividend, which is the decimal number, goes inside the house, and the divisor, which is the whole number, goes in the house. We're going to take this step by step. Step one, when you're dividing a decimal by a whole number, is the decimal point takes the elevator to the top floor. What does that mean? What do you mean, Mr. Dauber? The decimal takes the elevator to the top floor. That's weird. Well, it's exactly what it sounds like. See, he's inside the house. The top floor is like the roof of the house, and he just going up takes the elevator to the top floor. So he was here, now he's here. We've got to put him in the right place in the answer, and he lines up in the quotient in the answer, lined up perfectly with where he is in the dividend. Okay, step two is divide normally. Divide normally. So can we fit 12 into 1? No. Can we fit 12 into 14? Yes. So the first part of our quotient will go here above the 4. Now we're just dividing normally. How many times can 12 fit into 14? Well, 2 times 12 is 24. That's too big, so it can only fit in one time. Now we multiply. 1 times 12 is 12. Now we subtract. We're just going through the long division steps now, which you all have memorized. Divide, multiply, subtract, compare, bring down. Go back to divide, go through the steps again, except we don't write our remainder. We don't write remainders when we are dividing with a decimal number as the dividend. I'll show you what it looks like. 14 minus 12 is 2. Is 2 smaller than 12? Yes, that's how we know this 1 is correct. So now we bring down. Now we go back to divide, and we're dividing 12 into 25. 12 times 2 is 24, so that's what gets us closest to 25 without going over. So it goes in 2 times, and we multiply. 2 times 12 is 24. Okay, now we subtract. 25 minus 24 is 1. Is 1 smaller than 12? Yes, that's how we know this 2 is correct. So now we bring down. Okay, 12 can fit into 18. How many times? 12 times 2 is 24. So again, that's too big, so it can only fit in one time. Now, here's why we don't write remainders when we are dividing with decimals. Because once we're to the right of the decimal, we're already in the remainder. So 145 divided by 12 would be 12 remainder something. Okay? Now, we're dealing with a decimal number, so the whole number part is on the left, the fractional part is on the right. Everything to the right of that decimal point is where the remainder would be if we were dividing with whole numbers. So we don't write remainders. Now we multiply. 1 times 12 is 12. 18 minus 12 is 6. Now, this is what we do instead of writing remainders. We add a 0 to the dividend. Okay, so add zeros to the right of the dividend until the problem resolves. Now it says add zeros to the right of the dividend until the problem resolves. So do we change the value of a decimal number when we add a zero to the right? We don't change the value. So that means we can add zeros and then we can bring those zeros down and we can keep dividing. Now, in some cases, you'll do this almost forever. The long division problem will never resolve. So in those cases, after you've added a few zeros, you just stop and you end up with a rounded answer. But in this case, it resolves after adding 1 0. What do you mean by resolves, Mr. Dauber? I mean, there will be no remainder at the bottom. 12 can go into 60 5 times. 5 times 12 is 60, and 60 minus 60 is 0. See that 0 there? That's what I mean by the long division problem resolving. Instead of writing remainders, we add zeros to the right of the dividend, bring them down, and we just keep going until the problem resolves or until we realize this isn't going to resolve anytime soon. So I'm just going to stop at, let's say, the 100th place, and I'm just going to round it to the 100th place. Those are the 3 steps. Decimal point takes the elevator to the top floor, divide normally, add zeros to the right of the dividend until the problem resolves. Let's do another example together. So again, the answer is 12 and 15 hundredths. Let's do another example. Let's say we had 22 and 11 hundredths divided by 11. The decimal number is the dividend. So we build our house, our long division house. The dividend goes inside the house. The divisor goes outside the house. First step is decimal takes the elevator to the top floor. Ding, ding, going up. Second step, divide normally. Can we fit 11 into 2? No. Can we fit 11 into 22? Yes. 2 times 11 is 22. So it can fit in 2 times. 2 times 11 is 22. Now we subtract. 22 minus 22 is 0. Is 0 smaller than 11? Yes, that's how we know this 2 is correct. Now we bring down. 11 can fit into 1 0 times. 0 times 11 is 0. Now we subtract. 1 minus 0 is 1. Is 1 smaller than 11? Yes, that's how we know this 0 is correct. Now we bring down. We go back to divide. 11 can fit into 11 1 time. Now we multiply. 1 times 11 is 11. Now we subtract. 11 minus 11 is 0. And this one resolved before we had to add any zeros to the right, so we didn't have to do step 3. We finished by just doing step 1, which is decimal takes the elevator to the top floor, and then 2, divide normally. The problem resolved itself. We got to a 0 here. Let's do another example together. I'm going to have to scroll down so that you won't be able to see these 3 steps, but if you're following along, you should have just written these 3 steps on your own in your own math notebook. So you should have everything I've written down, all of this, you should have on your own page too. So you can still see the steps, even though I'm scrolling down to where you can't see them on my page. Let's do 38 and 4/10 divided by 16. Okay, we build our long division house. The dividend goes in the house. The divisor goes outside of the house. Step 1, decimal takes the elevator to the top floor. Ding, ding, going up. Step 2, divide normally. How many times can 16? 16 can't fit into 3, but it can fit into 38. It can fit in there. So the first part of the quotient goes above the 8. What times 16 gets us closest to 38 without going over? Well, we know 15 times 2 is 30. So we know 16 will be able to fit into 38 about 2 times. Let's try a 2 there. 2 times 6 is 12, carry the 1. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. Now we subtract 38 minus 32, 8, minus 2 is 6. Is 6 smaller than 16? Yeah, that's how we know this 2 is correct. Now we bring down. Okay, now we're putting 16 into 64. Do we think it can probably fit in about 3 times? Let's try it. 3 times 6 is 18, carry the 1. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4. Now we subtract. Borrow from the 6, make it a 5, making this 4 a 14. What's 14 minus 8? 6. And 5 minus 1 is 1. Uh-oh, look. Is 16 smaller than 16? No. So that means we need to adjust the quotient. Do we adjust the quotient up or down? So if this number is not smaller than this number, it means this needs to go up. So we erase all this, and we try a 4 instead. 4 times 6 is 24, carry the 2. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 2 is 6. 64 minus 64 is 0. So the answer is 2 4/10. The problem resolved. Let's do some more examples together. Okay, let's go to the top here. Let's do 12 4/10 divided by 8. So we build our long division house. The dividend, 12 4/10, goes inside the house. The divisor goes outside the house. Can 8 fit into 1? No. Can 8 fit into 12? Yes, 1 time. So the first part of our quotient goes right here. Oh, and I forgot the first step, which is decimal takes the elevator to the top floor. Ding, ding, going up. It goes right here. Okay, we just put 8 into 12. It fits in 1 time. 1 times 8 is 8. Now we subtract. 12 minus 8 is 4. Is 4 smaller than 8? Yes, that's how we know this 1 is correct. Now we bring down. What times 8 gets us closest to 44 without going over? So 8 times 5 is 40. 8 times 6 is 48. That's too big, so we go back to 8 times 5. 5 times 8 is 40. And 44 minus 40 is 4. Do we write remainder 4? No, because we're already in the remainder part of the problem once we're to the right of the decimal point. So instead of doing that, we add a 0, bring it down. And we do that either until the problem resolves or until we don't think it's going to resolve for a long time, and then we just round the answer. 8 can fit into 40 5 times. 5 times 8 is 40. 40 minus 40 is 0. The problem resolved with just adding 1 more 0. Let's do another one together. Let's say we had 14 14/100 divided by 14. 14 14/100 is the dividend. So that goes in the house. 14 is the divisor. That goes outside the house. Can 14 fit into 1? No. Can 14 fit into 14? Yes, 1 time. Oh, and I forgot again. Decimal takes the elevator to the top floor. That's the first step. Ding, ding, going up. Now we multiply. 1 times 14 is 14. 14 minus 14 is 0. Is 0 smaller than 14? Yep, that's how we know this 1 is correct. Now we bring down. 14 can fit into 1 0 times. Now we multiply. 0 times 14 is 0. Now we subtract. 1 minus 0 is 1. Is 1 smaller than 14? That's how we know this 0 is correct. Now we bring down. How many times can 14 fit into 14? 1 time. Now we multiply. 1 times 14 is 14. 14 minus 14 is 0. The answer is 1 1/100th. Let's do one more example together before I give you your independent practice. Let's do 55 44 divided by 11. 55 44 is the dividend. It goes in the house. 11 is the divisor. It goes outside of the house. Step 1 is decimal takes the elevator to the top floor. Ding, ding, going up. Now we divide. Can 11 fit into 5? No. Can 11 fit into 55? Yes, 5 times. Now we multiply. 5 times 11 is 55. Now we subtract. 55 minus 55 is 0. Is 0 smaller than 11? Yep, that's how we know this 5 is correct. Now we bring down. Can 11 fit into 4? No. So we say it can fit in 0 times. Now we multiply. 0 times 11 is 0. Now we subtract. 4 minus 0 is 4. Is 4 smaller than 11? Yes, that's how we know this 0 is correct. So now we bring down. How many times can 11 fit into 44? 4 times. Now we multiply. 4 times 11 is 44. And 44 minus 44 is 0. The answer is 5 4/100ths. Okay, are you ready for your independent work? Here it is. I'm going to give you 2 problems for your independent work. Do your best to do these completely independently and then click on the video attached under this one to see if you did them correctly. Do 7 21/100ths divided by 7. And do 75 48/100ths divided by 24. Go ahead and do both of these long division problems, dividing a decimal number by a whole number. Do them independently. Do your very best before clicking on the video down below this one to see if you did them correctly. I will see you then.